All right, welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is Forgotten Fields. Forgotten Fields is a game about yearning and nostalgia. Play as Sid, a struggling writer who travels back to his childhood home one last time before it's sold off. Visit old friends, relive memories, and play through sections of Sid's book in this warm game about the passage of time. Right, so another Nintendo Switch version. So this one was assigned to the Golics for
So,
review.
Petty, where did
Go
the
for it.
game go?
1 second. I'm fixing it.
Anyway,
It didn't like I tabbed out and wasn't wanting to respond to the controller.
Gotcha. So, this could have been a visual novel. I'm
Oh,
not saying
fun.
that insultingly, necessarily. I think it could have been a pretty good visual novel because the concept of the writer and the story that he's writing and reminiscing on the past and things like that is all fairly decent and fairly well written and stuff, but it's broken up by kind of awkward 3D walking around, finding stuff to interact with camera controls that only go horizontal and don't get vertical, and sometimes there's crap in the way. And when the characters are talking, sometimes the text boxes pop up, and then when they're shrinking down to go away, they like go to the wrong vanishing point in the corner of the screen instead of just shrinking down in place. It can be a little bit tricky to figure out what you're supposed to interact with or where you're supposed to go next. Because it's just walking around and some of the areas are significantly larger than they appear at first. And really, while there are some, like when it's zoomed out, the clean aesthetic looks okay, and some of the scenery stuff looks okay. But there are some scenes where you get those characters zoomed more in, and these are extremely low detail models. And some of the controls are a little bit awkward too in terms of like entering menus and stuff. This is also you can only move around and stuff with the D-pad, even or with the left stick, even though it really seems like you could have done most of it with the D-pad. And that includes for menus. You can't use the D-pad for menus, which always bothers me. Because I never like using a stick for menus.
So, guess what on PC?
Hmm?
You have to
What?
use the right stick to select things.
Yeah, and when there's a pointer on screen, you have to use the right stick too. Yeah, so that's even worse.
This is
Uh,
awful. Like, I can't even select things with arrow keys.
eh. For the clothes changing menu, at least you could just up and down and left and right with the left stick on the Switch. And there are times when you have to get objects, put them in your inventory, and then bring them places and use them for things. But there are very rarely options where you have like more than one significant option of what to do with an object. There are a few.
Good
And
lord,
there
what
are
the hell
not
is
usually it's not usually like packed enough to make that matter. Wow, you seem to have a lot of camera acceleration on the
Yeah.
camera. I did not have. I had the opposite of that. I think there is a sensitivity option for it.
Nope. Not here.
I think there was on the Switch. That's weird. On the Switch, it was actually kind of sluggish. Oh, that's another thing. You have camera control, but only on one axis. And also, when you walk to certain areas, it really likes to suddenly jerk you over to the angle that it wants to be from.
Okay, now it's working. This is weird. here.
Okay. No, this doesn't shock me. Game seemed a little bit buggy. But almost all of it involved the, like, 3D environment and the way the text bubbles move around and the friggin'... About the only thing that really benefits from being this kind of game is this thing that Petty is doing now, where since you're a writer and you're trying to write books and you think about books, you can always, whenever there are books in the environment that you can pick up and look at the front cover, the spine, and the back, and it actually has some low-res copy written on them. Amusingly, many of the authors and people reviews are by have rather silly names because they're probably not expecting you to pay much attention to that, but I feel like you could still, like, do it in, like, an Ace Attorney thing, where for the few items that matter, and even then you could have, like, a collection of all of the books that you could then look back at any time or something, where you move just between a number of... But if you did, like, an Ace Attorney thing where you, like, move between a number of specific positions, I guess maybe the feel of movement is important in some scenes where they want you to feel the ennui or whatever, or whimsy, I guess. I see what they're going for with that. But it kind of doesn't work as well when the controls are kind of awkward. It makes a little bit more sense somewhat in the fantasy segments, but in the when you're seeing what he's writing, but in those segments, the controls being weird show up even more. Like, and there was a thing in the seconds, like in one of the fairly early ones, you see the girl is in prison and you have to sneak out. Thankfully, the stealth segment is insanely easy and short. But then after that, you go down a long set of stairs, and I don't know if it was because I was not on the expected quote-unquote horizontal line, like whether I was too close or far away from the screen, but she was not going down the stairs at an angle. She was, like, walking horizontally or even slightly up as the stairs went down, and then falling, and then walking horizontal and falling. And that just, it takes away from the actually kind... I mean, it's not, like, mind-blowing writing, but it's solid. But the 3D traversal is not good.
This is another one of those where it definitely has some fit and finish problems.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you've done this as a visual novel, which a game with the amount of text that this wants to have could have been, you wouldn't have that.
Right.
You know? It does have some quick time events, but most of them are like catch a beer when it's thrown to you, or you're making your way over the rocks to where your friend is sitting, so you have to press the L button to jump. They are failable if you do nothing, but like it's not much. So I don't feel like this, like, I don't know. If you've done a really good job of it, it could work. But I don't feel like it gains much by being a 3D game of this quality and level of work. It would have to be a very good one for it to be better than just doing this as a visual novel. Admittedly, they probably, I don't know, the people who made it, maybe this was the art medium they're comfortable working in, and that's fine, I guess, but I just don't feel like... I felt like the 3D action parts were largely getting in the way of me experiencing the story. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't need to do a fetch quest to get the tools, to get the key from the neighbor, to get the tools to fix your bike. You could have just had a thing where you have to run into your neighbors and have to talk to them about a thing, or
Right.
even if you want to go in, do the oops, you have to distract the neighbor to get the thing back somehow. Yeah. So yeah, I think the writing is good, but there were significant fit and finish issues with the coat, with like the game mechanically, and also just the 3D traversal segments were just awkward. So I don't know. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
Not really.
Not really.
How much is it going for, Adam?
It's a good question. Let's see. So once again, there's a bit of a split in terms of pricing, but not as much like it's literally a few cents. As the Switch version is going for a unusual price of $12.64. And the Steam version is going the full 13. So I couldn't tell you why it's
On one hand, that's not like offensive, but on the other hand, I feel like for the gameplay you're getting, you might not feel comfortable with that.
Mm.
Also, as a comment, I'm pretty sure. Well, I recall the Sid is short for Siddharth, so I know that Indian people come in all different colors and stuff, but I'm not sure if this is supposed to be in India, if all of the characters are supposed to be Indian, if it's in America, if it's somewhere else. I was curious about that, and I don't know if there is information on that.
Mm.
So yeah, the story is interesting if you can do that. If you can handle the gameplay stuff, I think. With the caveat that I did not finish it, I just got a good chunk into it. So I think that's all I have to say, unless you guys have questions.
I think I'm good.
no. Yeah, I'm good as well. All right, so yeah, that'll about do it for this game. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review Kulbra and the Souls of Limbo.